If you've ever been a solo creator and lost a deal or a client to a bigger team, then this video is for you. Because in this video, I'm gonna share with you exactly how teams are beating out solo creator. Now, being someone who's been a solo creator for the last 7 years, I think anyone can tell you that at some point, you're gonna hit a ceiling. Because there's only 24 hours in a day, and you can only do so much or only take on so much by yourself. At points, it feels almost impossible to break through. Well, I'm here to let you know it's not impossible, but it's only impossible when you're by yourself. For example, when there are certain clients now that I've had by myself, I seem less appealing in comparison to an entire team. Now, even though your work may be phenomenal, it may even be better than the other teams you're competing against, companies or contracts may go for the bigger team solely just because they may be able to produce way more than you. Here's my own personal example. There was a contract up for bid and there was an entire event production. What they were asking for was pretty simplistic. They wanted typical B-roll coverage and be able to be a lot for the event because it was over 250 people or so. Yes, it may have been a little strenuous if I'm doing this by myself, but I knew I could do it and my work showed that I could. The only bad part about this is when I'm competing against this contract for the company that is looking to have everything captured, a team just looked way more appealing. So the sad portion is I lost the contract because I was only by myself. And who did I lose it to? A team. Now, mind you, the team wasn't even that much bigger than me. It was only but 2 or 3 people. But you have to understand that from the scope of the client, they're able to produce more than what I could because I'm just one person. And a lot of this from the client's perspective just deals with bandwidth. No matter how good or creative or even phenomenal my strategy or solutions may be by myself, there's a certain amount of bandwidth that I cannot exceed by myself because other teams are able to have someone not only doing B-roll, but also a standard camera and doing photography all at the same time. No matter how I picture it, I cannot do on such a high level by myself. And this is what teams are noticing. And this is what clients are noticing. So the only way I'm able to shift the competition of being able to go from being myself to then now actually being a competitor in these competitions for the contracts is by leveraging a team. Now, you may say, Quinton, I don't even know when I'd be able to hire somebody. Well, that's a good thing because you only typically hire people on a collaborative basis until you're able to hire people full time, which is in the beginning portions of my company narrative, that's exactly what I'm doing. But the first thing you need to realize is who do you need to hire first? This is always based upon the client and who you're trying to help. We have a client in Texas where we end up helping them with their events. We do all the media coverage from top to bottom. So if I know that they just want coverage and they actually don't even want us to edit any of the footage, they just want us to capture and then hand it over to them, then I understand that for me in my situation, I don't need an editor because that's not what the job requires. But what I do need is someone to help watch the stationary cameras and also probably someone who can also do photography while I specialize in video at the meantime. Now, considering I don't have a huge team and some of these budgets aren't as grand at the moment, I need to understand that I need to make sure I can capture someone who may be able to not only do stationary, but then also can do photos as well. Like my man Derek, or even my other friend Justin. Both of these guys are more than capable. So I understood what the situation required and I knew people that were able to fulfill that role. So I need you to keep in mind that whatever your situation is, you hire based upon the needs that you're gonna have for the project, not for what you think you're gonna need. How do I know when I need to pull the trigger on hiring somebody? Well, if you ever end up getting put into a situation where you know the project is bigger than what you can handle by yourself, that's the trigger. So for instance, when one of our clients in Texas came to us and say, hey, we need all media coverage, photo and video and B-roll, I immediately know I cannot do this by myself. Even if I try, I won't be able to do it at such a high level, nor will I be able to produce the amount that may be needed for the client. So my trigger is just I don't have enough bandwidth and I need to be able to make sure that I can cover all aspects of what the client is requiring. But then even when this is the case, you don't just hire anyone. As someone who told me once before, media companies, as they continue to grow, their quality actually goes down. So how do you end up making quality a standard? It's all about the people that you hire and the quality of their work. So for instance, I knew that I needed help. I went to my network and I immediately knew that Derek would be the great guy for the job, or Justin, or another friend of ours, Ephraim, who are phenomenal in all of their particular industries. Now, the hiring process is pretty simplistic. Once you get the bid, you let the guys know, hey, this is the current bid on the table. If this is the case, are you open to it? These are the dates. And literally just let me know, are you open to doing so? All they end up saying is either, yeah, I'm available, or no, I'm not. Once that's the case, hey, what's your rates? Awesome. You add that into the process for the actual bid. So when you end up putting in your offer and say, hey, this is what we'll be able to do this for this price. Now, understand that, yes, if you were able to take this on and do it by yourself, you may be able to take home more of a profit, but then you may not end up getting more work because you don't end up producing enough of what the client needs. So when you end up hiring a team, you have to understand margins and profit, because the more hands in the pot, the less you take home. But you have to understand, sometimes you may end up needing to taking a sacrifice, especially as the leader, in order for you to be able to build a good name for yourself, because building a good name for yourself and a reputation of high quality as a standard is what will genuinely pay you dividends down the road. There have been times where I've taken actual pay cuts more than I wanted to, solely because I knew I needed to pay everyone fairly in order for us to produce a high quality product that would get us called back later on. As a leader, you have to make certain sacrifices for the good of the overall team. So even though I took that sacrifice, we ended up getting called back, which then ended up making me more on this client alone, just because we ended up producing such a high quality product. And the last portion of this that's most important is the system. So once you hire everybody, you now have to create a system that is also scalable. So for instance, when I now have all this team, we need to understand and iron out exactly from start to finish, what is it gonna look like? Here's the systems, here's how we do things. My team understands that there are certain standards that we have to have whenever we produce things. We have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to have an understanding of who has what role and what is your objective. We have to have an overall objective of what the entire team needs to be able to produce and what do we need to capture. And then lastly, our fulfillment process, which a lot of that falls on me at the moment. Now, these beginning portions are super critical because these are what's gonna be your building blocks of your team moving forward. So no matter who you end up adding out, putting in, someone may be able to miss an event, you still have that system in place. So then all from there is just plug and play with who's available. But again, whatever you do, do not, I repeat, do not sacrifice quality just because you need to fill a spot. All this is gonna do is lower the quality of the brand that you represent in the face of other people. So no matter what you do, because the advice I got also is that as a company, as a media company expands, the quality goes down. You need to keep quality as a standard. If you do not have that quality as a standard, then do not take the project. Sometimes taking the money may pay a detriment if you know you can't fulfill as good as you want to. That is not a job that you want to take. The before and after process of going solo versus being able to build a team, as a owner perspective, you were fighting against teams by yourself. You may not have enough bandwidth. You might be exhausted, and you might not even be able to produce all bit of the product that you end up having for the client. Now, this isn't for everybody because there are some people who are absolute machines. Like for instance, when I first was doing weddings, I was running a 3-camera operation system, doing all the audio and all the speeches, everything by myself. Was I able to do it at a high level? Yes, but I was also exhausted. And at some point you had to realize a team is leverageable because now you're using other people's skill sets to still achieve not only the exact same thing, maybe even better and more. So the after portion is you have a team that can have your back. Everyone has a clear understanding. You have specialists in the right positions. You're able to produce high quality and you're able to produce a product that your client not only loves, but has you end up being called back. And now you're also having that competitive edge against other teams. Now that you have the bandwidth, because sometimes that is exactly what the clients are looking for, someone who can withstand the bandwidth. Now you're a competitor. And at that portion, then it's all about your work. Because sometimes when you're by yourself, it's not just about your work. It's about, do you have the bandwidth and able to help the client get exactly what they need? But one of the main takeaways I want you guys to have is the reason why teams are beating out solo creators is a lot of the time they just have the bandwidth and the quality. Even though the single person may be able to have the quality, not all the time will they be able to have the bandwidth depending on who they're helping. But if you want to be more competitive, in a competition market where there are teams who are fighting for contracts, you cannot just be the solo creator anymore. In order for you to go after the big contracts and the bigger agreements, all that lies within being able to develop a team to make you more appealing in order for you to produce to the client exactly what they need. Now, this doesn't go for every industry where clients are asking a lot of you. This is why some solo creators are losing. Now, if you're doing like simple real estate videos, it only takes one person to film, okay, great, then this video isn't for you. But if you're trying to do bigger projects, bigger productions where it takes multiple people, you may even need some editing, you want photos as well because it's a brand deal, this is where the competition from solo to teams really is in effect. And if this is your area of what you're trying to compete in, then you have to understand this is exactly why teams are beating out solo creators. Guys, I hope this video was helpful. I hope that this was genuinely a turning point for somebody in their career, as it is for mine. So if there are other videos you guys would love for me to create, go ahead and put them down in the comments. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one.